from the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast.
Coming up on Ag Day, crop progress slows as another wet and snowy storm moves across the Midwest. Plus, the fight continues in western Oklahoma against wildfires. And agribusiness helping farmers overcome tariffs.
It's tough to me imagine purchasing enough soybeans to offset potential lost sales to the Chinese market.
Is dairy demand rising? We'll take a look in our dairy report. And smart farms meet smart cows, bringing artificial intelligence to the dairy barn.
Ag Day, brought to you by the Chevy Silverado, the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. It's April 17th, and weather issues are keeping the planting pace at a crawl. From record snow, cold, and drought, the Plain States are at a near standstill. USDA releasing its latest crop progress report late Monday. Corn planting making very little progress from last week. 3% is planted nationally, just 1 point higher than a week ago. Now, of the top 5 corn states, only Nebraska has seed in the ground. In total, 7 states have started planting corn. The 5-year average will put 13 states that would have normally started by now. Looking over to spring wheat, only 3% is seeded there. It's usually 15%. Of the top 6 states, only 3 have any planted, and South Dakota is just barely on the board. And that planting pace isn't likely to change following weekend snowstorms that covered much of the upper Midwest from South Dakota to Michigan. Snow blanketing the upper Midwest, including causing a roof collapse in this hotel in Wisconsin. Now, the National Weather Service says the storm ranks as one of the worst for April, with storm totals reaching 30 inches near Green Bay and winds blowing at 50 miles an hour. The Griegel Farms in Pulaski, Wisconsin, posting some images of their snow-covered tractors. The family measured over 2 feet of snow. And from central Lake Michigan, some Herefords dealt with about 16 inches of snow and 40-mile-an-hour winds. Minneapolis, South Dakota, also seeing single-day snowfall totals. Meanwhile, there's talk of rain in winter wheat country, but conditions remain dire. The latest NASS report does show a slight uptick in the good to excellent categories. However, nationwide, it's just 31% of winter wheat that's rated good to excellent. It was 30% last week. The worst fields are in the southern plains. In Texas, 13% is good to excellent. It's 8% in Oklahoma and 12% in Kansas. Combining the drought and cold temperatures, analysts say the winter wheat crop is going to struggle to improve.
The drought is still taking away a lot of the yield potential, and it's going to hurt the crop's ability to come back from this spring freeze damage.
Suderman says this weekend's rains may help more with millability of the crop in some regions versus yield. Now, we told you last week about the wildfire burning in western Oklahoma. This is what it looked like by satellite. A combination of very warm temperatures, gusty winds, and extremely low humidity causing the fires to explode in size, now approaching nearly 400,000 acres. 2 people have died. Several towns had to be evacuated. A state of emergency has been declared for 52 counties in Oklahoma because of wildfire and drought conditions. Fires have also been burning in New Mexico, destroying nearly 60,000 acres and roughly 20 structures there. This dramatic footage showing how quickly those wildfires can charge across fields and pastures. Now, this was captured in Woodward County, Oklahoma by Marty Logan last week. He's a storm chaser in Oklahoma. You can see the man risking his own life to let down fencing to allow trapped cattle to escape. Well, just watch as the ravenous fire tears through the exact spot where his truck was parked just seconds before. Help is already starting to pour in. Our friends over at Sunup TV and Oklahoma State Extension shared these phone numbers. OSU Extension is in charge of hay, supplemental livestock feed, milk replacer for calves that lost their mamas. They will also be matching people who want to donate their time and efforts to help rebuild fencing or transport hay with folks who need it. Monetary donations are being handled by the Oklahoma Cattlemen's Association Foundation. As the House Ag Committee prepares to debate the 2018 Farm Bill tomorrow, it appears conservation could benefit from that title of the farm legislation. The Conservation Reserve Program, or CRP, likely to increase from the current 24 million acres up to 29 million acres. But the big question remains, how do you pay for it? Colin Peterson, who's minority leader of the House Ag Committee, proposing putting in 80% cap of the rental value in a county. He believes the government's been overpaying for CRP acres.
That's been one of the complaints we've certainly heard a lot about, particularly from young farmers and ranchers, that the ability to take on new land or the ability to get started in agriculture, they're competing against the CRP program. And so if you can get those rental rates lined up a little more fairly in terms of cash rental rates, that might help open that door a little bit.
Now, prior to the bill's release, Moore says Farm Bureau was not initially in favor of increasing conservation acres up to that near 30 million acre mark. It was their preference to keep the program closer to 24. Also in Washington, the Vice President is back from the Summit of the Americas in Peru, and he's excited about the possibilities around NAFTA. Vice President Mike Pence saying over the weekend that he believes the U.S., Mexico, and Canada could wrap up negotiations on NAFTA, quote, within the next several weeks, although he says it's not done yet. Pence is stressing there are still issues unresolved, but he has strong optimism that a deal will be struck soon. And a farm in North Carolina is recalling more than 200 million eggs sold in 9 states over salmonella fears. The FDA says Rose Acre Farms voluntarily recalled 207 million eggs due to potential contamination. Rose Acre Farms is based in Indiana, but these eggs were sourced from one of their operations out in North Carolina. At least 22 illnesses have been reported so far. As the Crop Progress Report shows, farmers are facing delays. Mike Hoffman has some comments from a few of those producers. Mike.
Good morning, Clinton. From agweb.com, we received these crop comments. A farmer in Sangamon County, Illinois, near Springfield, says it's 28 degrees and no corn planted yet. He says it'll be another week before any field work will happen. In Minnehaha, South Dakota, a farmer posted that there are no crops to talk about there either. They received another foot or more of snow on top of a foot of mud. Frost is deep and won't be coming out anytime soon. He doesn't expect to start field work before May 10th. And from Buffalo County, Nebraska, they got 6 inches of snow and 50-mile-per-hour winds over the weekend. They lost 4 calves in the blizzard conditions. As for planting, the planter's in the shed. And taking a look at the wind speed forecast, going to have some wind in the Great Lakes, parts of the Northeast, but especially with the storm coming out of the western states. You can see how that picks up this afternoon into the southwestern plains, eastern portions of the Rockies. As we head through tonight, then you can see the winds pick up as we move through the central plains, and the storm continues to come east. And we have a very windy day tomorrow from the central plains into the Ohio River Valley. We'll have the rest of your forecast coming up in a few minutes, but first here are some hometown temps.
Your next piece of equipment is on MachineryPete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. Only on MachineryPete.com.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about what a program could look like if Washington needs to protect farmers from a trade or tariff dispute. And later, we'll step into the future of the farm as these cows find help from artificial intelligence.
With a uniquely powerful formulation of proven ingredients, Resicor corn herbicide gives you extraordinary power.
Who wants dessert?
At least when it comes to weeds.
In agribusiness, soybeans and wheat struggling to start the week. Let's get details from our friends on the field.
Today, soybeans were lower. It seems that there's like a minor short-term downtrend that's in effect right now and kind of pushing the market a little bit lower. It seems that all the fundamental news actually is relatively bullish, but we're not getting the buyers stepping in to push this market a little bit higher. Even with the U.S. dollar index lower today, even corn today was slipped again. It seems that their bearish momentum is starting to gain a little bit of strength on the downside. Although, and because of that, it was lower for the 4th day in a row again. Wheat was the one that really tumbled today, and I think that that's what brought all the markets down. Winter wheat is not looking good. Some has not even come out of the ground. So I think that we are going to see some crop damage, but just right now it's not in the market yet, and so it sent the market lower double digits. We're down almost 10 cents today, which was really a kind of a surprise and has a few traders scratching their head. Today in cattle, it gapped up. It seems that the cash cattle is the highest it's been in a month. Those freezing temperatures and the heavy snow has traders really worried about the stress and perhaps the loss of livestock that could happen within this time of this inclement weather. That's all from the floor at the CME Group here in Chicago. I'm Virginia McGathy.
From markets to potential market reactions, following talks about tariffs, Tyne Morgan has more in today's analysis from the road.
Here now with Pat Westhoff of the University of Missouri. Pat, you know, we continue to hear this talk of possible tariffs that we're going to see put in place against U.S. ag goods. If that happens, the administration says that they are going to protect farmers. What could that package kind of look like, do you think?
So a couple of options have been talked about in the press have been whether we might just do some purchases of items, but it's tough to me imagine purchasing enough soybeans to offset potential lost sales to the Chinese market. So we need to have to provide some sort of a subsidy program to offset. Think, top up existing programs or just make a simple payment that's off on the side. Think about the case of cotton where for a couple of years now we've made ginning payments to cotton producers. Could we dream up something like that to try to provide compensation to people?
But when you talk about subsidies, I mean, for example, Pat, right now we have a case against China for them subsidizing their wheat growers. Right. So when it sounds like if we would start implementing some of those subsidies for growers here in the U.S., that opens up a new can of worms with the WTO. Right.
There are many existing subsidies already under question at the WTO and among our trading partners. If you were to put something on top of that, it just makes it more likely that someone's going to have a challenge against us.
Like who? Who could challenge that, do you think? That would have a major impact then on us?
Well, if you think about the cotton case from many years ago, when Brazil was the one who instigated all that, they could be a negatively affected party here, depending on how things are done. So you can imagine them taking a case. You know, China, if we're still talking about doing things to WTO, likewise could make a case themselves.
So when we talk about all these tariffs that are proposed, does anyone win?
It's tough to see a lot of winners. Anytime you put a tariff in place, there's both winners and losers. You drive up the price in the country that has imposed the tariff, you drive down the price elsewhere. If you're a producer in the country that has the higher tariff, you can benefit in the short run. But on the other hand, if you're the consumer in the country that has a higher tariff, you're not so happy. So there's both winners and losers in all time. Usually the losers outweigh the winners, and normally it's a situation where there's more harm to the society as a whole than there is gain.
All right, Pat, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll take a break here on Ag Day, and then we'll have much more.
Your vote could help a community organization win $10,000 and send a farmer on a dream sports trip. Vote now and help make dreams come true at powertodomore.com. Sponsored by Resicor Corn Herbicide.
Welcome back to Ag Day. Your meteorologist Mike Hoffman. And Mike, that was just a massive winter storm that went through the country over the weekend.
And all sorts of weather with it, from tornadoes to ice storms to blizzards. Amazing. Yeah, it really was. As we head through today, you can see a storm system moving through the eastern Great Lakes and New England. And this storm system, not nearly as bad as the one we just talked about, but it's still causing some snow as far south as the central Appalachians. Lake effect snows on the backside of it. Really only the northern parts accumulating, though, because the southern sections, it's near or above freezing in this time of year. With the sun higher in the sky, you really don't get much accumulation in those temperatures right there. Now, the next storm system coming across Wyoming, that's going to quickly move into the Plain States, not with a lot of weather initially. A few rain and snow showers in the Dakotas there. Next storm system starting to show up in the eastern Pacific as we head through late in the day tomorrow. So as we head into tomorrow morning, a little bit of lingering snow in the northeast, eastern Great Lakes to start the day. Next storm not really causing too much along this cold front down into Texas, but from Iowa toward the northwest, some rain turning over to snow farther north you go. And this next storm coming in out west won't be real strong, but it is still going to cause some rain and mountain snows as we head through tomorrow afternoon and into tomorrow night. A little bit of snow northwest side of this, Wisconsin back into Minnesota. It's mainly rain, though, over Michigan and Ohio, Indiana, northern Illinois as we head through this afternoon. Now, taking a look at precipitation estimates past 24 hours, fair amount in some of the northeastern sections, adding in the next 36 hours. We don't add too much more up here. We do add some with that rain and snow coming across the Plain States and a little bit more in the far west eventually. Snowfall, highest elevations out west. And a little bit in the northern Great Lakes, actually a decent amount in the northern Great Lakes, northern Michigan, several inches of snow over the past 24 hours. 36 hours, we're going to see a little bit more streaking across the Plain States right there. We just can't get rid of the snow this spring quite yet. High temperatures this afternoon, 70s, 80s, even a few 90s, Texas and Oklahoma, but still 30s and 40s, northern plains into the Great Lakes. Lows tonight going to stay very mild for the southern Mississippi Valley, but definitely chillier farther north. And highs tomorrow still 30s and 40s north, but warming up a little bit briefly into the Ohio River Valley. There's a jet stream, storm system moving away. That next piece of energy, a weaker system, feeds into it. Then you can see there's no real Arctic air in here, but every storm system that comes along will have a little bit of cold air to work with, so still kind of a volatile weather pattern. That's a look across the country. Now let's take a look at some local forecasts. We head to Sheridan, Wyoming. First of all, windy, a bit of snow or rain, high temperature of 45. Texarkana, Texas, mostly sunny and warmer, high up to 81. And Charleston, West Virginia, a good deal of sunshine on the mild side, high up to 52.
When we come back, a new report thinks there's good demand ahead for dairy products. We'll take a look in our dairy report. And we'll head into the future, where artificial intelligence is making its way to the dairy farm. In our dairy report, Rabobank saying domestic demand for dairy products like natural cheese and butter, along with premium dairy products, should rise in the second half of 2018. In its first quarter dairy report, Rabo says stronger economic growth is projected to come from the recent tax policy change, which translates to stronger dairy demand through increased food service and retail sales. The issue? Dairy product stocks are high. Non-fat dry milk powder stocks are 50% higher than last year and the highest since 2005. Butter stocks, they're up a few percentage points compared to last year, and cheese stocks are up 7%. The report also expecting dairy exports to be more competitive as U.S. prices are cheaper and helped by a persistently weak dollar. Major milk exporter New Zealand, along with Japan and Australia, are cautiously reacting to President Trump's new interest in rejoining the Trans-Pacific Partnership. An Associated Press report says New Zealand's trade minister says his country isn't blind to the benefits of trading with the world's largest economy. Japanese officials may welcome the move if it means Trump is recognizing the importance of the agreement. However, Australian leaders say there won't be a lot of interest in substantial renegotiation among the 11 countries in TPP. And the impacts of Class 7 milk pricing and the grassland situation caused by Canada seen clearly in a new USDA report. It shows that Canadian imports of milk protein substances dropped almost 40% in 2017. That's compared with 2016 levels. Now, over the same period, Canadian cheese production grew 7%, suggesting it's supplying more of its milk protein substances domestically. Total imports of liquid and dry product from the U.S. fell 51% last year. Not just happy cows, but smart cows, adding artificial intelligence to the dairy barn. Details are next.
In the Country, sponsored by Kubota. Tractors, hay tools, utility vehicles, mowers, and more. Visit KubotaUSA.com today.
Is the world ready for cows armed with artificial intelligence? Well, no time to ruminate on that, because a Dutch company has married two technologies, motion sensors and AI, with the aim of bringing the barnyard into the 21st century. Carrie Annelfinger reports.
The average number of cows on a big dairy farm is on the rise. So how do farmers know what's going on when they have 2,000 cows to watch over? The answer? Artificial intelligence.
It can pick up whether the cow is eating, whether it's ruminating, whether it's walking, whether it's drinking, whether it's laying down, standing up.
Richard Watson, a Georgia dairy farmer, is referring to technology called IDA, or Intelligent Dairy Farmer's Assistant, and it goes around a cow's neck.
Our cows are outdoors 365 days of the year, and so there's not the human contact, if you like, with the cows on a continuous basis throughout the day.
The device created by Connectera uses a Google platform called TensorFlow, which feeds data into a so-called neural network that recognizes patterns. It helps farmers identify cows that are sick, less productive, or ready for breeding.
It's really exciting for us because we personally never would have thought to utilize this in the dairy industry, but luckily people like Connectera were able to use that open source machine learning frameworks.
Seven Oaks Dairy in Waynesboro, Georgia is one of the first to use the Connectera technology in the United States. A cow's health is important because farmers say a healthy cow produces more milk.
Just a 10% or 5% increase or improvement in productivity means hundreds of thousands of dollars to us. Aside from the fact that we just want happier, healthier, more welfare in our animals anyway.
Another type of technology tells them when cows are about to give birth, allowing farmers to be present should there be complications. The Moo-Call calving sensor detects spinal contractions in the cow's tail.
That if a cow is calving, it'll shoot us a text and we can, come out here and check on it.
Mackinson Dairy Farm couples the technology with video cameras so they can see what's going on. But Mary Mackinson Faber says she doesn't see smart machines taking over.
There's certain tasks that it can help with and it can assist us, but I don't think it'll ever replace the human.
Technology to keep today's busy dairy farmer better connected to their cows. Carrie Antelfinger, Associated Press.
And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.